everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a video for Simon Says Stamp for their summer school event going on from June 10th until June 21st. And for my card, I'm going to be doing some embossing with dies rather than using them for die cutting. So to start off, I'm just going to create a standard size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and it's going to have a side fold there. And I'm just going to set that aside once I get it created, and that's just going to be the card base. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to work on the embossed pieces that are going to form part of my card. So the first thing that I'm going to use is the full card hexagon die that was just released from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to emboss this onto another piece of white cardstock rather than cutting it out. So to do that, you just need to cut a piece of cardstock slightly larger than the die. It doesn't need to be perfectly straight because I'm going to end up cutting it out so it's a little bit smaller than it ends up being. So to create the sandwich, you're just going to use with a Big Shot, just use the standard cutting or the tabs all folded in, and then you're going to use a rubber mat of some sort, and then you're going to put your paper next and then lay your die on top of the paper. So the main thing for doing this is you just need to make sure that the die cutting edge is against the rubber mat. And then just to make the embossing a little bit more pronounced, I added a little piece of cardstock in there just to act as kind of a shim, and then just put the cutting plate on top and then just run that right through your Big Shot machine. And then you'll see when I take it out, rather than there being all of those little hexagons being cut out, it just embossed them onto the surface of the cardstock. And this die looks so neat in real life with the embossing. It almost looks like a pillow. It's such a great technique. I love it. And then I'm just going to do another little embossing technique here with the two of the new butterflies. I believe these are the Chrissy and the Leanna butterflies. They are the smaller two of the 4 that were released. And I'm just going to go ahead and first cut out the solid butterfly die with some pink pattern paper that I used from the Basic Gray Knee Highs 6x6 paper pad. So I'm just going to put my normal cutting mats back in so that I can cut this out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the other butterfly die that has all the detail in it, and I'm going to layer that over top of the butterfly that I've already cut out. And I'm just going to use some washi tape to adhere that against the die, and then I'm going to run this through in the same manner that I did for the hexagon background. And what's going to happen is all of that, those intricate details, the swirls and stuff that would normally cut out with this butterfly, I'm going to emboss those onto the butterfly that's already been cut out. So I'm just going to use the same sandwich again to do the embossing and just put the mat down and then the butterfly. You really want to make sure that you have the paper adhered against the die so it doesn't shift when doing this type of embossing, simply because you want the embossing to be perfectly spaced over the body of the butterfly. So just as long as you have the washi there, it shouldn't shift at all. And then I just put the cardstock shim in there again and the normal cutting pad and cut that out. And you'll find when you peel the butterfly out of the die and then to remove the washi tape, it can be a little bit tricky to get off. It's not super sticky, but because you ran it through in the embossing and it's actually embossed into the butterfly, it takes a little bit more work to peel it off. So if you just take your time, and it'll come off no problem at all. And then as you can see now, I have all that great embossed detail on that little butterfly. So to assemble the card, I took the hexagon embossed piece that I had done, and I trimmed off the edges so that it was slightly smaller than the card base. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this POW glitter paper from American Crafts. I love this glitter paper. It's so great. It's thin, it die cuts awesomely, and glitter goes nowhere. There's no glitter that comes off of the paper at all. It's one of my favorite products to use right now. I've been using it, it seems like, on a lot of things. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer my white paneled piece over top of the glitter paper so that it has a little bit of a thin border around the edges. But because it's going to be going onto glitter, it tends to not adhere that well. So I'm using Ranger Super Sticky, the red tape, to put that on there, just so I can ensure that it stays on and doesn't end up falling off. So I just went ahead and adhered that on there, and I just left a really thin border, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the excess so that it's uniform all the way around. So now I have this great embossed piece with the glitter paper behind it. And what I've done is I'm going to use the butterfly die as the main focal point of the card. But I didn't want just the one die. I wanted to be able to add a little bit more detail to that die cut. So once I get this adhered on here, you'll see that I have two more butterflies that I've already cut out. I didn't emboss either of them. I just straight cut them out because they're going to be layered underneath of the embossed butterfly. So I just used the same glitter paper that I had used for the mat on the card base. And then I just took another paper from the 6x6 paper pad in a slightly darker pink color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the super sticky tape against the darker butterfly just because that one is going to get adhered over the glitter one. So I just want to make sure that it adheres properly and doesn't come off at all. And to make the layered butterflies and be able to see the edges of the two background ones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stagger all the pieces, the butterfly bodies, so that you can see when it's all assembled, you'll be able to see the glitter part on the top of the butterfly and then the darker pink color on the bottom of the butterfly. So as you can see there, I just kind of lowered the darker pink one and left a bit of a gap there where you can see the glitter. And now I'm just going to use regular adhesive on this butterfly since it's going to adhere directly to the papered one. And when I put this one on, I'm going to center it right in between the glitter and the dark pink butterflies there. So that allows you to see the glitter piece up above and then the darker pink color down below. So it's just a fun little way that you can layer your die cuts to add some fun dimension and just to make it look a little bit more exciting than just the simple die cut on its own. So now that I have that all assembled, now I'm just going to go ahead and do the sentiment part. So I'm going to use this great new inside and out saying stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm just going to use the Always Thinking of You and then the inside piece, which I can't remember exactly what it says, but something to do with thinking of you 85% of the time or something. Anyway, you'll be able to see that in the supply list and see exactly what those sentiments say. It's a great stamp set for people who like to have stamping on both the outside and the inside of their cards. So I already pre-cut a banner from the My Favorite Things fishtail banner dies. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp with VersaFine black onyx ink right onto that banner. My favorite ink by far for any kind of sentiment or detail stamping. It just gives a great crisp image, and it's just an all-around great black ink. So I went ahead and stamped that, and then it's going to layer under the butterfly across the bottom of the card. So I just need to take a little bit off the end so that it fits perfectly under that butterfly. And then I'm just going to adhere that directly onto my card front with just regular adhesive since it's being adhered directly to the paper. So there'll be no issue with it coming off. And then once I have that piece adhered, I'm just going to go ahead and adhesive my butterfly as well, and then just layer that over top and adhere it to the front of the card. So that's what I'm just going to do here right now. And again, you just need the regular adhesive. You don't need to have the sticky stuff unless you're dealing directly onto the glitter type paper. And then once I have this butterfly adhered, I decided that it needed a little bit more detail on the butterfly because I really wanted to accent the swirls that the embossing did on the butterfly body. So I'm just using a Zig Wink of Stella glitter brush pen in clear, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of just color over all the different little swirls on the butterfly just to give them all a little bit of a sparkle. And it just adds to the embossing, and it ties in against the glitter that we've used on the other butterfly and the matte piece. So now that that's all assembled and the front's finished, it's time to do the inside. And what I've done is, rather than stamp directly on the card base, I'm actually stamping on a separate piece of cardstock that I've cut slightly smaller than the card base, because I'm going to do an embossed technique on this piece as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment directly in the center of the card. And like I said, this is the one that goes with the set and is the complementing inside sentiment that goes with the outside one. So I'm just using the same black ink that I used for the front of the card, and I just stamped the sentiment there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same butterfly, and you can see there now that I've done it, I took the detailed butterfly die and I ran that through my Big Shot with the same embossing sandwich and embossed that butterfly right into that piece of cardstock so that it just kind of ties into the front and just gives a fun little detail. I love the look of embossing on white cardstock in this, doing it this way so that it just kind of gives a little bit of a detail but doesn't stand out hugely. It's so elegant looking, and I just love how it ends up looking once it's done. So I just went ahead and adhered that to the inside of the card. And that's it. That's the card's done. So just a great fun way to use your dies in an unexpected way and get great results. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.